All right. Welcome, everyone. Welcome to Frankenstein Tea. Welcome back, I should say.
Welcome back. Nice to see you.
It's been a long interim since our last Frankenstein Tea.
Yeah.
But we've been very busy here at the library.
And we're very excited to be back.
We're very excited to be back. And we have a special guest here this week. This is Alan.
Yes, I'm excited to be here.
Excellent.
And our special occasion, of course, is just everything that's going on this month. We have a very, very busy month coming up this season. But we also have a show, a theatrical show, a Christmas Carol that is coming up this weekend. And it's a free show right here in Barre at the Barre Congregational Church. And the dates for that are...
It will be this Friday, December 6th at 7 o'clock, and Saturday, December 7th at 7 o'clock, and December 8th at 5 o'clock.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's a free show at the Barre Congregational Church, but there are no tickets, right?
No tickets, and it's free. That way no one I don't have to worry about anyone wanting their money back.
Yep, there we go.
You know.
He's being very modest, though, because I think it's going to be a really fantastic show that people are going to enjoy.
I'm very excited about it, and but we'll talk about that. We'll talk about that a little bit later.
Yeah, we
about that a
will.
little bit
But
later.
let's start. But let's do 1 second on why we're talking to you about it. Did you? Is this your brainchild? Is this?
Yeah, it's I really like Dickens' work, and specifically at this time of the year, Christmas Carol.
Mm-hmm.
And so probably about 20 years ago, I wrote an adaptation for it, and it was performed at the church in Massachusetts, where I was a member. And it was a very rudimentary presentation of it. I know Christmas present came in riding a food cart, you know.
Yeah.
So and the bishop at the time just stood there and read the narration. But and it's progressed over the years, and I'm, you know.
So you wrote the adaptation.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And are you the director, producer? So you're director, producer, writer.
Well, yeah, it sounds really important, doesn't it?
That's why. That is why I want to be clear.
I'm directing it along with my daughter Agatha. She's very important because I think of all these things, and she actually, can actually make them happen.
Mm-hmm.
And so she makes my vision reality.
Excellent.
So and I guess what do producers do actually? Do they
I
come
don't
up
know.
with the money?
Or the snacks or something. I think they...
Yeah, well, I guess...
They come up with the
Like I
snacks.
said,
They do, right? They make sure
They
everybody
produce the
has what they
snacks.
need to do the performance.
Yep.
Yeah, so you put the costumes together or find someone to do that.
yes.
And,
You found the church, you found the players, you...
Yeah.
and
produced
Agatha's kind of your stage manager as well.
She is.
Yeah.
She is. So just briefly,
Yeah.
how we find the actors, we'll talk about more but just a little
Mhm,
anecdote
yeah.
is right here at the library. I was leaving here, doing something with the friends, and I saw a man sitting in his car, kind of singing. So I'm pretty shy actually, but for the play, I go outside of my comfort zone. And I went over to him and I said, you're singing, would you like to be in the play? And actually he is now in one of our carolers.
Oh, that's great.
So
That was Joe, wasn't it?
it was Joe.
Yeah.
It was.
Well, fantastic. Well, shall we delve right into
Yeah,
Charles
so what
Dickens?
are we going to do today? We're going to read a little bit of A Christmas Carol by Charles Dickens. We're going to go back and talk a little bit about the play. We'll do some library updates, and we'll do a quick mental health check-in.
That sounds good. Yeah.
Is that good for today?
And this is very much in kind of tradition with what Dickens himself used to do during his life, because he used to do live readings of
Absolutely.
as
Yeah.
Oh, really?
for
What
Christmas
is it?
Carol. Yeah.
He did live
And,
readings of
and
the
apparently
Christmas
they were very dramatic. Like he had a lot of fun with all the different voices. So
Carol. Oh,
yeah,
that's
but
great.
he would travel around and tour around Christmas time and read.
Right. And I have actually a little story about that, but
Oh,
we can
good.
save it till the end.
Okay, sounds good.
Okay.
Well,
All right,
let's
save it to the end. I
delve
feel
right.
like I'm taking notes, though. We have a lot of things to come back to.
Let's delve right into Charles
Okay.
Dickens.
So this is Charles Dickens' A Christmas Carol. And I'm going to begin, and I am on page 1. Marley's Ghost. Marley was dead, to begin with. There was no doubt whatever about that. The register of his burial was signed by the clergyman, the clerk, the undertaker, and the chief mourner. Scrooge signed it, and Scrooge's name was good upon change for anything he chose to put his hand to. Old Marley was as dead as a doornail. Mind, I don't mean to say that I know of my own knowledge what there is particularly dead about a doornail. I might have been inclined myself to regard a coffin nail as the deadest piece of ironmongery in the trade. But the wisdom of our ancestors is in the simile, and my unhallowed hands shall not disturb it, or the country's done for. You will therefore permit me to repeat emphatically that Marley was as dead as a doornail. Scrooge knew he was dead? Of course he did. How could it be otherwise? Scrooge and he were partners for I don't know how many years. Scrooge was his sole executor, his sole administrator, his sole assign, his sole residuary legatee, his sole friend and sole mourner. And even Scrooge was not so dreadfully cut out by the sad event, but that he was an excellent man of business on the very day of the funeral, and solemnized it with an undoubted bargain. The mention of Marley's funeral brings me back to the point I started from. There is no doubt that Marley was dead. This must be distinctly understood, or nothing wonderful can come of the story I am going to relate. If we were not perfectly convinced that Hamlet's father died before the play began, there would be nothing more remarkable in his taking a stroll at night in an easterly wind upon his own ramparts than there would be in any other middle-aged gentleman rashly turning out after dark in a breezy spot. Say St. Paul's churchyard, for instance, literally to astonish his son's weak mind. Scrooge never painted out old Marley's name. There it stood, years afterwards, above the warehouse door, Scrooge and Marley. The firm was known as Scrooge and Marley. Sometimes people new to the business called Scrooge, and sometimes Marley. But he answered to both names. It was all the same to him. Oh, but he was a tight-fisted hand at the grindstone. Scrooge. A squeezing, wrenching, grasping, scraping, clutching, covetous old sinner, hard and sharp as flint, from which no steel had ever struck out generous fire, secret and self-contained and solitary as an oyster. The cold within him froze his own features, nipped his pointed nose, shriveled his cheek, stiffened his gait, made his eyes red, his thin lips blue, and spoke out shrewdly in his grating voice. A frosty rime was on his head and on his eyebrows and his wiry chin. He carried his own low temperature always about with him. He iced his coffee in the dog days and didn't thaw at 1 degree at Christmas. External heat and cold had little influence on Scrooge. No warmth could warm, no wintry weather chill him. No wind that blew was bitterer than he. No falling snow was more intent upon its purpose. No pelting rain less open to entreaty. Foul weather didn't know where to have him. The heaviest rain and snow and hail and sleet could boast of the advantage over him in only one respect. They often came down handsomely, and Scrooge never did. Nobody ever stopped him in the street to say, with gladsome looks, "My dear Scrooge, how are you? When will you come to see me?" No beggars implored him to bestow a trifle. No children asked him what it was o'clock. No man or woman ever once in all his life inquired the way to such and such a place of Scrooge. Even the blind man's dogs appeared to know him, and when they saw him coming on, would tug their owners into doorways and up courts, and then would wag their tails as though they said, "No eye at all is better than an evil eye, dark master." But what did Scrooge care? It was the very thing he liked, to edge his way along the crowded paths of life, warning all human sympathy to keep its distance. And what the knowing ones call nuts to Scrooge. Once upon a time, of all the good days in the year, on Christmas Eve, old Scrooge sat busy in his counting house. It was cold, bleak, biting weather, foggy withal, and he could hear the people in the court outside go wheezing up and down, beating their hands upon their breasts and stamping their feet upon the pavement stones to warm them. The city clocks had only just gone 3, but it was quite dark already. It had not been light all day, and candles were flaring in the windows of the neighboring offices, like ruddy smears upon the palpable brown air. The fog came pouring in at every chink and keyhole, and was so dense without that although the court was of the narrowest, the houses opposite were mere phantoms. To see the dingy cloud come drooping down, obscuring everything, one might have thought that nature lived hard by and was brewing on a large scale. The door of Scrooge's counting house was open that he might keep his eye upon his clerk, who in a dismal little cell beyond, a sort of tank, was copying letters. Scrooge had a very small fire, but the clerk's fire was so very much smaller that it looked like one coal. But he couldn't replenish it, for Scrooge kept the coal box in his own room, and so surely as the clerk came in with the shovel, the master predicted that it would be necessary for them to part. Wherefore the clerk put on his white comforter and tried to warm himself at the candle, in which effort, not being a man of strong imagination, he failed.
"A Merry Christmas, Uncle! God save you!" cried a cheerful voice. It was the voice of Scrooge's nephew, who came upon him so quickly that this was the first intimation he had of his approach.
Bah,
said Scrooge.
Humbug.
He had so heated himself with rapid walking in the fog and frost, this nephew of Scrooge's, that he was all in a glow. His face was ruddy and handsome, his eyes sparkled, and his breath smoked again. "Christmas a humbug, Uncle?" said Scrooge's nephew. "You don't mean that, I am sure."
Oh, I do, said Scrooge. Merry Christmas. What right have you to be merry? You're poor enough.
"Come then," returned the nephew gaily. "What right have you to be so dismal? What reason have you to be morose? You're rich enough." Scrooge, having no better answer, ready on the spur of the moment, said,
Bah,
again, and followed it up with,
humbug.
"Don't be cross, Uncle," said the nephew.
Nephew, said the uncle, keep Christmas in your own way, and let me keep it in mine.
"Uncle," pleaded the nephew. "Keep it," repeated Scrooge's nephew, "but you don't keep it."
Well, let me leave it alone then, said Scrooge. Much good may it do you. Much good it has ever done you.
"There are many things from which I might have derived good, by which I have not profited, I dare say," returned the nephew. "Christmas among the rest. But I am sure I have always thought of Christmas time, when it has come around, apart from the veneration due to its sacred name and origin, if anything belonging to it can be apart from that, as a good time. A kind, forgiving, charitable, pleasant time. The only time I know of, in the long calendar of the year, when men and women seem by one consent to open up their shut-up hearts freely, and to think of people below them as if they really were fellow passengers to the grave, and not another race of creatures bound on other journeys. And therefore, Uncle, though it has never put a scrap of gold or silver in my pocket, I believe that it has done me good, and will do me good, and I say, God bless it." There's where we're going to leave off.
No, he's going to read one more.
Oh, yes.
Oh, yes?
Yes.
Yes, go ahead.
Yeah, it's such a powerful passage,
Yeah.
both of them, for the beauty of the words and for the emotion
Yeah.
that was there. So, I'd like to read from the ending, if I may.
Sure, yes, please.
Because it starts off with this very miserable person.
An oyster.
As cold as an oyster. I love that.
Unto himself.
Spoiler alerts.
As solitary as an oyster. Right?
As solitary as
So this right here is Bob Cratchit coming in late to work. And Scrooge has already been haunted by ghosts. And, he's changed, but he certainly doesn't act like it when he sees Bob Cratchit late. Okay. Let me see here. So Cratchit comes in late. "Hello," growled Scrooge in his accustomed voice, as near as he could feign it. "What do you mean by coming in here at this time of day?" "I'm very sorry, sir," said Bob. "I am behind my time." "You are," repeated Scrooge. "Yes, I think you are. Step this way, sir, if you please." "It's only once a year, sir," pleaded Bob, appearing from the tank. I'm not sure what that refers to. "It shall be repeated. I'm only married. Being married yesterday, sir." "Now, I'll tell you what, my friend," said Scrooge. "I am not going to stand this sort of thing any longer, and therefore," he continued, leaping from the stool and giving Bob such a dig in the waistcoat, I guess like that, that he staggered back into the tank again. I guess the tank refers to the little cell that he works in.
I think so,
Yeah.
little office.
Yeah.
"And therefore, I'm about to raise your salary." Bob trembled and got a little nearer to the ruler. He had a momentary idea of knocking Scrooge down with it and holding him and calling to the people in the court for help and a straight waistcoat.
Straight
What we would
jacket.
call it a straight jacket. Right. "A Merry Christmas, Bob," said Scrooge with an earnestness that could not be mistaken as he clapped him on the back. "A Merry Christmas, Bob, my good fellow. Then I have given you a more merry Christmas than I've given you for many a year. I'll raise your salary and endeavor to assist your struggling family, and we will discuss your affairs this very afternoon over a Christmas bowl of smoking bishop. Must be a drink.
Yes.
Bob, make up the fires and buy another coal scuttle before you dot another I, Bob Cratchit." Scrooge was better than his word. He did it all and infinitely more, and to Tiny Tim, who did not die, he was a second father. He became a good friend, as good a master, and as good a man as the good old city knew, or any other good old city, or borough, in the good old world. Some people laughed to see the alteration in him, but he let them laugh, and little heeded them, for he was wise enough to know that nothing ever happened on this globe for good, in which people did not have their fill of laughter in the onset. And knowing that such as this would be blind anyway, he thought it quite well that any should wrinkle up their eyes in grins as have the unlady in less attractive forms. Okay. His own heart laughed, and that was quite enough for him. Didn't care what people thought.
Mm-hmm.
He knew what he was at this point. He had no further intercourse with spirits, have lived upon the total abstinence principle ever afterwards, and it was always said of him that if he knew how to keep Christmas, that he knew how to keep Christmas well, and if any man alive possessed the knowledge, may that be truly said of all of us, and of all of us. And so as Tiny Tim observed, God bless us, everyone.
Well done.
You know?
Most important line in the entire play, right?
Yeah, I mean,
That's what we always tell our Tiny Tim.
just say it loud. And,
Yeah.
and a little plug here. This is Bob Cratchit in the play, and he does a magnificent
Yeah.
job.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Well, I enjoy doing that. So, in fact, I joke that it's Mick Cratchit this year.
Mick Cratchit.
Yes, yes.
Because of the particular musical instrument that will be there?
Because there is a wee bit of bagpipe, a little bit of bagpipe music this year in Christmas Carol.
Excellent.
So we're the Mick Cratchits.
The Big Cratchits. All right, a final adaptation.
And I've got a little plaid waistcoat on as well. So.
Oh.
Well, every year we strive to add something new. So people who came last year or the year before when I was here at the library, we hope they come again to see the new music, the new scenes, which gets me to a point, if I may.
Yes, please.
Yes, please do.
This group is called Let's Put On a Show Players. And it's kind of a name that we came up with because in the 40s or whatever, even the 30s, there was Nicky Rooney and Judy Garland, and they did all these movies about okay, the orphanage is going to be foreclosed on. We have to go put on a show, and we have to raise money,
That's
No, I think the Muppets did that too, didn't they?
So I just thought that was because the cast is people that we've collected over the years. I don't want to make that sound like we're like, with the Humane Society, we're collecting people, but like dogs. But no, it's people that I've come across, like Joe, who I met in the
library parking lot singing.
And so these people, the cast, a lot of them never acted before until joining us, and it's an eclectic bunch. But the idea of this group is that nobody who wants to be in this play will be refused. There's no tryouts. There's no cutting anyone from apart.
Mm-hmm.
If you want a part, we will try and make sure that happens. So that's the one part of it. The other part is that we respect our audiences, and we want to put on something that is very, it creates happiness in the audience, that they're happy they came, that you leave feeling better about, the world around you. So even though we take everyone and we write parts to fit anyone who wants to be in the play, our primary obligation is to the audience, to make sure that they have an enjoyable time. So it's a really, I think it's an interesting mixture.
And it's interactive because the audience are encouraged to sing the Christmas carols with their carolers as well, and they have the words, the lyrics in their programs. So.
And I also give the actors leeway. I mean, I wrote the script, but I'm not a dictator. If they feel there's a line here that they want to put in, whether it's humorous or whether it fits their character better, go ahead. Do it. And we have, if you come, which I hope you all will come. And you see Christmas Present, you'll see what I'm talking about, the flexibility of that actor to ad lib at times, and also maybe not all the time be within the period.
but he's a spirit, so he's allowed a little bit of anachronism.
That's so good. That's so good.
Right. Then he gets that green light because he's a spirit.
Absolutely, yeah. And there's at least one reference to a Muppet Christmas Carol that the little kids, the Cratchit children have. So listen for that.
Wait a second. I'll
You
listen.
didn't even know?
You didn't even know that. All right.
How did that get stuck in there?
It got stuck in there, and then we couldn't take it out again.
Okay.
So you'll say,
That's great.
Yeah, you can see I'm not exactly the iron,
The
I was going to say, that really speaks to how you direct.
Yeah. No,
Well, you know that some of the Cratchit children are so small that once they learn something, you're not going to get them to unlearn it.
So you don't have a tryout.
No.
But when people come to you and say, I want to be in the play, do you kind of know where they're going to fit in?
I do.
A little bit?
Well, our cast has been very stable over the last 3 years.
Yeah.
So
people want to come back and
they
do
want
it
to come
again.
back in the same part, but sometimes they don't. And like this year I switched Marley. We have a brand new Marley this year.
Okay.
He's great, though.
And he brought his whole family. And a lot of families are involved in this production. So
That's nice.
we get the whole family. And then if there is no part, I will try to channel Dickens and this, and I will write something. And I want to apologize to who's ever seen this in the audience. I am not saying that I'm a writer like Dickens, or that I can actually channel him. But I try to hear how he would say, and if I can give a little example.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, please.
So there's a young gentleman who had to miss a few practices, and I didn't think he was going to be in it this year. So I had another young child who wanted to do that part. And then he came back. So I wrote a part for him. It's not in here, but it is something I think Dickens would approve of. It has to do with factory workers and children in the 1848, 49, the Victorian time. It was a dismal time for kids who were poor and didn't have any way to support themselves. So I wrote a part where he is a child and a factory worker who is injured in one of Scrooge's, textile factories, and now he goes to Scrooge saying, I'm injured. I used to live in your factory. Now I have no home because since I'm injured, they kicked me out of the factory, and I used to sleep there. So I wrote a part for this, and
it's very much in line with
and I
Dickens.
feel good about it.
Yeah. Sure.
Because it gets a message. Dickens, who was he was a reformer.
Mhm.
and so it's consistent with his writing is. You know, he writes a lot about. So, anyways, I won't ramble on anymore about.
No,
that.
you should. So,
Yeah.
so what do you mean by reformer?
You know,
Victoria, were you Victorian England?
This was the time when, you know, a lot
Wealthy
of
in factories.
children were working in factories.
Yeah.
There was a lot of child labor.
and they were killed in these factories. The particular one of the jobs for children, where they had to crawl under the textile machinery to gather in loose cotton or anything
Yeah.
that could be
All the
respun
fibers.
again,
Yeah.
fibers.
Yeah.
So they had to crawl under these machines, which could collapse on them, or a piece of blade could chop them, or you know they were
Yeah.
killed. They
Maybe.
were killed.
Killed.
You know, we think a lot about the disparity of income now, and of course there is a disparity. But you're talking about Victorian England, and you had the top wealthy people, and there was really very little middle class, and then you had the poor people who were just, you know, they were abused, they were taken advantage of,
Yep.
and so I was happy that this play will have a mention of a factory boy in it.
Yeah, that's great.
You know.
That's really, though, I mean, it's really kind of built into the book, too, because the charity worker is talking to Scrooge, and Scrooge is asking, are there no mills?
Yeah.
Are the prison houses still working?
Yeah, and he said, and then she says,
I wish
Yeah.
that they were not.
yeah, well, I was afraid that they had shut down.
Yeah.
Scrooge said.
That's what Scrooge says, yeah.
And where does Charles Dickens fall as a writer? Certainly not wealthy.
Oh no, he was quite wealthy. I
He
think.
was.
By the
By
very
the
end,
end.
yeah.
At the end.
But he grew up poor, and he worked. You know, his father was in a debtor's prison, and he had a very
Okay, yeah.
very tough childhood.
So he was able to speak very intimately to this experience.
Yeah, and like there was schools in England, and they were called rag schools, and they were basically set up for children who had no money. Maybe they were orphans, and they were terrible institutions. They tried to provide some education. Some were better than others.
Yeah.
But I think in one of Dickens's books, I forget which one now. But there's a school. I mean, there's a character that Dickens bases on the principal or headmaster of one of these rag schools, and how terrible they were.
Mhm.
You know, and I know in the book, he has a son who's the headmaster has a son he's fattening up, and he's taking all the food for the son while these kids are starving. You know? So I mean, Dickens was even sued for
I was gonna say.
for modeling that character.
For libel.
Yeah, but it didn't go anywhere. So
Mhm.
he hated the injustice. He hated injustice.
Yep,
So,
yep.
Fascinating.
So that is that what really drew you to A Christmas Carol? Because you've been doing this for many years, right? Like even before you
yeah,
came to
like
Barre.
I said, I started the initial.
Yeah.
Was 20 years ago with a little girl coming in on a food cart, but it's gotten a little more sophisticated over the years, and I'm drawn to it because I like ghosts.
Yes.
Oh.
And
Yes.
this is anyone who wants to think about it. This is a ghost story.
Yes.
3 ghosts.
This is a ghost story.
And
Yeah.
And plus Marley, 3 ghosts plus Marley.
yeah. And I like the way Dickens writes because it's a challenge. His writing is so beautiful. You just can't skip over it. A paragraph starts one way, and then before you get to the end of it, you think, whoa, hey, he just changed direction on me.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I just love the way he writes, and I love the way he describes things. Very
Yeah.
good describing food.
Yes, he is. And I guess there's a good reason for that, isn't there?
Because he was hungry.
Because he was hungry as a child,
Right,
yeah.
right.
Yeah. And I do love the fact that it's a ghost story too, because that does really kind of harken back to the Christmases of the past. Because back in the day, Yule and the Yuletide season and the winter solstice was a time for telling ghost stories, and also a time for divination,
Yeah.
like thinking about like the future. And it is all that is kind of built into that book. But then I've also heard people say that Charles Dickens kind of invented the modern Christmas as well.
Yeah, I think there was a beginning to go back to a more traditional Christmas,
Yeah.
but he definitely, invigorated that movement, and
Huh.
people think of it. I think the Christmas Carol can be thought of as a religious, work, or a secular one, or a mixture of the both.
Yep.
I think it's a universal one.
Yeah.
It's a universal story, yeah.
About what is really important in life and what's meaningful, and how do we want to use use our time on this
Use our
earth.
time.
You
Yep.
know, is it the pursuit of money? You need money to pay bills, but is it like the pursuit of greed, that you just need so much that, you know, how much do you need? How many television sets? You know,
Yeah, right.
how many cars? I mean, so I think it's just it's a story for our times as to what's important.
What's really interesting in here is that, you know, Scrooge doesn't have like 10 TVs, you know? He like stints himself, like
Yeah.
Yeah, he's stingy with himself.
He's stingy with like light and with heat.
With
and,
him, yeah, with his life, yeah.
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 Yeah, and it is interesting that you go back into his childhood and like Dickens is thinking, yeah, what makes someone become like that, you know? And it obviously Scrooge is not well to do as a child, you know, he's poor off. But, you know, yeah, maybe that's something that
Well,
What is it? Heartache? Is that the Scrooge story? Is it
there is
heartache?
there's some heartache there, yeah.
Is it being dismissed?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
He doesn't
Yeah,
have a,
right. He's dismissed.
he doesn't have a very strong
Yeah.
relationship with his father.
Yeah.
And the only member of his family that he really has a strong connection with, his sister, dies when he's young.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so he
So-
faced tragedy. You
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
But hopefully, none of us have to be haunted by three spirits.
3 spirits, yeah.
To get the message.
Yeah. Hopefully, you just go to a free play on this Friday, Saturday, and Sunday.
But what's also really interesting is that's this kind of like whole idea of like being haunted and then like looking back at your past is come up again and again, like in literature and in television, right? Like It's a Wonderful Life, right?
Well, this is the trope, right? I mean,
It is.
He
He
sets
started
it
the
out.
trope.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he sets it out.
Yep.
I hadn't realized that he set out the revitalization of Christmas.
Yeah. There's a
Oh,
movie,
yeah.
There was a movie a few years ago where, it's his life and how he
Oh.
actually, I think I don't know what it was called.
I'll have to look that up. That sounds
It's really
yeah.
good. So we're gonna have a raffle.
Okay.
We're gonna have a raffle
At the
play.
Yep.
So there's a.
You bought something lovely for it.
Okay, thank you. But I had this pewter. It's a beautiful pewter figurine, but there's not a figurine, but there's more than 3 pieces to it. But it's Scrooge in bed, and next to him is Marley
Yes.
standing, and then right behind at the foot of the bed is a little ghost. And it's a collector's item. On the bottom it says collector's item.
And one of the kids was looking at it closely and he said, "What's that thing under the bed?" And I said, "Oh, that's a chamber pot." They didn't because they didn't have indoor plumbing
so it's like
back then.
detailed and
Yeah.
beautiful.
Oh, it's very detailed. We bought a nice case for the kind that the football helmets go into.
Yeah.
So it's
Yeah.
and we'll be raffling it off.
Okay.
The same as what's going on here at the library. So the library's doing.
Yes,
Yeah,
please,
please
light
do.
up the
The
library.
library's doing light up the library, and there's beautiful trees here, and there's all kinds of raffle items,
Mhm.
and the tickets are you
$1.
$1 or
get $6
$5.
for 5, right?
Yep.
$5 for 6.
$6 for 5. But anyways, they're
$5.
$5 for 6.
Yeah. Mathematicians. We're a bunch of mathematicians, huh?
$5 for 6, and so at the play you can buy it's the same deal. You get raffle tickets,
Okay.
$5 for 6 tickets, and we're going to raffle it off with half the proceeds going to the Congregational Church because they've been so kind in hosting us, and then half of it going to the Friends of the Library, the Aldrich, because the Aldrich has also been so kind supporting this play over the years. So.
And I want to mention that the programming here at the Aldrich Public Library, I think it's important to mention that that's all funded by the Friends of the Library. So it's all funded by things like this, like the Light at the Library and Christmas Carol.
Yeah.
So thank you very much.
Well, no, it's my pleasure. It's an honor to be affiliated in this way with the library because I think it's such a beautiful place. It's such a this is not a paid announcement. Okay, this is how I really feel. I don't like the BS, and I just think that this library is a tremendous asset for this community.
Thank you very much, Alan.
Yeah. We do too.
Yeah, we do too.
It motivates us. So what is this? Like your 23rd time? Your 24th?
Yeah, how many times
Did you
have
do
you
it
done
every year?
Well, let me see. I started when I was 5. So,
You do it every year here.
I first, we moved from Massachusetts. I've lived in a number of different places. So the
Okay.
last place was at Massachusetts.
Yeah.
And we moved to
Okay.
Massachusetts because my daughter Agatha and her husband live here with our grandkids. So,
Okay,
you know, I just stopped what I was doing in Massachusetts.
that's right, that's what happens
And
when
moved
those
here.
grandkids arrive.
Because, you know, this is not a plug or anything, but I write so I can write anywhere, you know,
Yep.
so I could do that here.
Mm-hmm.
So we moved here and bought a house, and I'm sorry, the question was?
How long have you been doing Christmas carols?
Christmas
All
carols.
right, so I joined the Friends right when we got here.
Yeah.
I think it was right 2019 before
Okay.
COVID.
Oh, that it was just before COVID.
Just
yes.
before COVID, so I came there and I said, and you are one of the first people I
Yes,
spoke to
yes.
about it. You know, I'm just a new person here, and I joined the Friends, and then
And you talked to
and I saw Ian.
to the resident actor?
Because I remember looking at the Mill community room with you, Alan.
Yeah.
We were
So I
thinking,
came
where
in
can
and I
we do
said, you know,
this?
Ian, because Agatha knew you.
Yes.
I said, you know, I kind of like to do a Christmas carol, and
Yes.
you were very supportive.
Yeah.
But then
Oh, yeah.
COVID hit,
Yeah,
and we didn't get it off the ground until 3 years ago.
yeah,
And
Yeah.
so this, you know,
okay.
So
I
this is
would-
the third year we're doing this.
yeah, hopefully, you know, it's something we can do every year and
Tradition.
expand on it.
Yes.
Expand on
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, I think it's a fantastic tradition.
Yeah.
Expand on it, like do a play at the library.
You
We've looked
mentioned
at
that.
some stuff.
You
I
mentioned
know,
that.
you and I have looked at some stuff.
Yeah. I
There
mean,
were some plays that were like specifically written to be done as library fundraisers. We might have to revisit that.
I think I read that, and
Yeah.
I think I just kind of not that it
Yeah,
was-
I know, no, we both put it on the back
It would be-
burner,
it
but
would
we
be-
might have to come back to that.
It would be fun to do something.
Yeah.
It would be fun. Just
Yeah.
you know.
It's a great building to do that
Well,
Yeah.
the first year when we did this, we were down in the
in the reading
in the
rooms.
reading room.
Yeah.
And in fact, I think the live stream is still available. If you go further down on Facebook, you can still find the live stream
Oh,
of
really?
our first show.
Oh,
but it was,
that's fun.
it was. I have to say, it was really atmospheric and magical doing it in the reading room
Yes.
here.
I bet.
Because you know, you know, this was maybe 50 years or so after Dickens that this library was built, but it still feels very Dickensian.
Right.
You know.
Right.
So two
Right.
things. One,
Yeah, I
you know,
was
who
gonna
are-
say.
people who are watching this might say, well, you know, it's so great, why aren't you still there? Okay, it's a legitimate question.
Yeah.
But the reason is, it was just too small. We had,
Only about 50 people could
yeah,
attend at a
and the
time.
actors were in both hallways, so there
Mm.
was really no space, you know? And then there's another point. Eric Tupper Giles is the organist at the Congregational Church, and he is a world-class organist. I mean, he is just amazing.
Eric is. Yeah.
Eric. And
Mhm.
so he came to me after the play and said, you know, if you want to do it at church, I can play the organ for it. So we were able to have organ music incorporated into the play, which
Yeah.
was consistent with what I
Phenomenal.
want to do.
Yes.
Is like
Yeah.
every year bring new music like we have this year.
What is it, Nick?
We do have
Mick Cratchit?
Mick Cratchit, and we
Mick
do
Cratchit?
have some marvelous singing as well
Yeah.
this year. So yeah, I think people are really going to enjoy it. The new elements.
And so I had that little story.
Yeah.
Can I
Yes.
say it?
Yeah,
go ahead.
yeah.
That was the
So
time.
it was, Ian mentioned that Dickens made a living, you know, really good living, going around acting out his plays.
Yes.
His own.
Huh?
All the parts. Just by himself.
Yes.
One man show.
Probably the dramatic ones the most, you know.
Yeah,
but,
yeah.
Yes.
and then when he died, he had a kind of ne'er-do-well son, and his son Tennyson moved to Australia, and he started doing the pieces of his dad's play to make a living.
Mm.
You know, so he carried on, and he was in New York City, in Manhattan. He was getting ready for a performance, and he dropped dead.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh no, that's not the more of the story. So he dropped dead, and they buried him in Manhattan, and his grave is still there. And it might be interesting to go look at it because the stone they used came from Barre, Vermont.
Very granite. Oh, that's great.
Now that I'm going to say that story, at the, you know, if you hear it twice, if you come to the play, you'll hear it twice. And I said it last year, and I said, and there was no reaction. There was no reaction. Remember this?
I do.
There was
Yes.
no reaction. And I actually said that. I don't know if I called out the audience. I said, guys, I can't believe you didn't react to this. And someone from the back says, we didn't hear you.
Yeah, I was gonna say you weren't mic'd.
He has a microphone this year.
Oh,
so,
good.
Yeah, it's gonna be great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or I'll just try and talk louder.
No, you have a
No,
microphone.
use a mic.
Yeah,
Use a
yeah.
mic?
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, it's a fantastic connection.
Yeah,
that
I mean,
Dickensian
from
connection.
Barre, Vermont. And
Yeah.
the-
You might have to write a play about that.
There you go.
Yeah.
You might have to write a play about that. That's
And-
a great piece of Dickens history,
And it's,
right? This idea that,
Yeah, it is
that
interesting.
it's
isn't it?
very interesting.
Yeah.
And that his son takes it on, knows enough to do that, knows enough that his father was,
was onto something.
was onto something.
Right,
Yeah,
and it's
yeah.
really good because it has a Barre connection with the
And-
quarry and all the
and
rich
then-
history of Barre.
And we,
Well, and the workers,
Yeah.
and that disparity,
and we have
right? Like that Dickens wrote
Absolutely.
about,
Absolutely.
as a reformer.
we have a nice granite Dickensian connection as well, right in front of our library.
We
have
do.
Mr. Pickwick, our statue of Mr. Pickwick.
Yeah.
And I think we're going to ask Alan to come back and read Mr. Pickwick with us at some point.
Yeah, and
Yes, in
I
the
think we
future.
should get the Carver too. Right?
Yes,
We could-
Giuliano checking out.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would be marvelous. Yes.
All right, so now
Well,
you're roped in. Here
You're
you
roped
are.
in.
Welcome to Frankenstein tea. This is how we do it.
I don't know, maybe one appearance here is enough for the audience.
No, I don't know. No, because I want to go back to you gave us a great question there. You mentioned that you're a writer. How many books have you written? Or how many have you written and how many have been published? Maybe those are two different answers.
There's 7 novels and 1 book of poetry and, no, that's it. 7 novels and 1 book of poetry.
Wow. Do you like writing poetry?
I do. I
Yeah.
do like it. Now I'm just finishing up a new manuscript, and it's something dear to my heart.
Mm.
It's so beautiful.
Oh, that's
No, no.
great.
I say that sarcastically. It's twisted fairy tales.
Whoa, that sounds great. That sounds
You know,
fantastic.
I like to take classic
So
fairy
when's
tales and really,
Make them darker.
yeah, they're
So-
They're
very.
already
I
dark.
know they're dark. I know.
They're
So
dark.
now they're even darker.
Even darker.
so
They're true
Alan,
nature.
when are we doing the play of that?
Yeah.
Oh. So I'm working with. I'm trying to find illustrators. There's 3 ladies that got in touch with me, and one of them is local, and I'm just trying to figure out, since I don't like to hurt anyone's feelings, how I could work with all 3. But I'll have to see what.
Yeah, I'm not sure that'll fly.
You know.
Maybe.
Yeah,
That's an interesting thought, right? Because sometimes writers work with partners.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
I hadn't thought about more than one illustrator with a book.
Well,
Yeah.
I'm just thinking about it, So I think, but it's yeah.
Fun.
I'll let you know when it comes out,
And I
if
think
it comes out.
I think we still have copies of your most recent book. Is it Ghost Dancer?
No, it's Body on Ice.
I think we still
Yeah,
still have copies of that.
Yeah, which is also a Barre story.
Bodies on Ice. That's right.
Yeah,
Yes.
that's a Barre story.
It's a Barre
That's a
story.
Barre
That's,
story.
that's
Yes.
entirely a Barre story.
Yeah, it's entirely.
About the murder of Lucinda Broadwell that happened in 1919.
Yep. That's
you
right.
know, and that was
In Barre.
in Barre. I was in an antique store, and I saw the nonfiction book. The lady who used to be a librarian here,
Yes.
Patricia Belding.
Yep.
And she wrote the nonfiction book.
Huh.
And she took all the newspaper articles, and she was a historian and,
Yep,
and
yep.
compiled it. And I read it, and I was fascinated. And I wanted to do a fiction aspect of it and create that. And so I wrote,
Historical fiction.
Body on Ice, and basically, it's 100% true, except the parts made up.
And so I believe we have copies on the shelf here, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
for
Yes.
sure.
So if
Yes,
you
we
were
do.
interested, come on in.
Yes.
Oh,
Yeah.
that would be wonderful. A very side benefit from being
Yeah.
here.
Yeah.
And is it Next Chapter Books? Are your books next?
No.
No, you sell them yourself.
No, they were at 2 other. I somehow just didn't connect with Next Chapter. My
Okay.
fault. My fault. I mean,
Yeah, just.
I don't know what happened, but they were at Bear Pond
Yep.
and in Watertown.
The Watertown.
Yeah.
Okay.
And how do we get to Watertown?
Yeah. What's
I
Watertown?
wrote to them and I said, "Would you carry the book?" And they wrote back and said, "Yes." So
There we go.
that's so that's how it has. And I can get copies. Anybody who would like it.
Yeah.
I think it's of course it's
Local history.
I think it's an interesting read.
Yeah.
It includes a lot of stuff that were happening here that you don't really think about.
In Barre.
In this area, in Barre and in the Montpelier area, like
Yeah.
the Ku Klux Klan.
Yes. Oh my goodness.
They burn crosses
In front of St. Augustine's Church.
in Montpelier, in the Catholic Church there.
Yes.
So there was a lot of, there was a lot of things going on in 1919.
Yep.
Sorry for. going on and on.
No,
Oh, no, no,
no.
You
That's-
ask a writer what they write, and this is what you get, okay?
Yeah.
1919.
1919.
The Espionage Act and the Sedition Act were passed.
Yeah.
And they allowed
So people are on edge.
the government to go in and drag people out of their houses without any warrants, to wiretap without any warrant, and they deported people who were recent immigrants to this country, claiming they were, communist sympathizers, and
Which they were.
Well, not all of them.
Not all of them, but I mean,
No, these are the ones that weren't.
okay,
They
but,
actually-
but we still have a strong socialist party here in Barre,
Yeah,
and right?
Yeah, but they were deported because there were so many bombings going on by anarchists, and they were deported under the the assumption, which was not correct, that they were part of a conspiracy to take down the government. And a lot of them were put on a ship called the Soviet Ark and sent back to the Soviet Union. They had never been there before.
They
Oh,
weren't
wow.
Soviets.
Right.
No, they weren't
Soviets.
they were recent immigrants to this country. A lot of them were Italian,
Yeah.
and two famous sculptors from Barre
Yeah.
were
Yes.
investigated by the General Intelligence Division, which was headed by Edgar Hoover.
J. Edgar Hoover.
J. Edgar
Yeah.
Hoover. That later became the FBI. But when it was the General Intelligence Division, they sent agents to Barre to investigate two of the sculptors here simply because they were Italian. And one of those who they investigated was the one who sculptured the Triumph to Youth.
Oh, yes, the youth
Youth
triumphant.
Triumph, the statue that we have right at City Hall Park.
The one that the kids know as Naked Neil.
Yeah, so that's how sad, and this is the year that Lucinda Broadwell was found murdered in Barre, 1919. So the book deals with the murder, but it also deals with the historic
With some
perspective.
context.
Yeah, yeah.
Whoa.
Whoa,
Sorry.
Here we are.
That
Sorry.
sounds like a great read, actually. Yeah. That
Yeah,
sounds
I think,
good.
and it's short. You can keep it in the bathroom. It's only like 100. It's only 109 pages.
I like a book I can get through.
Exactly.
There we go. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
Excellent.
Thank you very much.
Yeah,
No,
thank
no.
you.
Thank you for having me.
Oh, it's so fun.
Of
We
course.
wanted to have you when your book came out. We
Thank you.
talked about it. We wanted to do a play.
Yeah.
You're obviously a busy man. We're busy, but we need to commit to this a little. We need to
Yeah.
have Alan part of our life here.
So,
Thank you, Ian.
Thank you, Alan.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So Alan Kessler, folks. Thank you
Alan
very much.
Kessler.
Yeah.
A Christmas Carol. A
Christmas
Christmas
Carol.
Carol at the Congregational Church, which is across City Hall Park from us.
It's-
We're in the library right now. This is the conference room.
It's the Brick Church.
When we started our podcast, we thought this was kind of a Dickensian set. And Alan said, yeah, if only the snow was falling and the wind was blowing, and I
And
think
now
that
it
just
is.
happened.
Yes.
Right.
It did happen. A minute ago it was snowing out there and blowing, so here we are.
But fortunately, we have a lot of wonderful activities and programs that are going to be happening here at the library. So come on in, get warm,
Yeah.
and enjoy a program.
Enjoy Light Up the Library.
Yes, so light up the
Enter
library.
the raffle. There's lots of fun things to win here.
When's the drawing?
Well, I didn't bring my phone, but
It's the
so
16th.
I think Monday is the 16th. I'm gonna go through I'm gonna start. Ready? Here we go. Tomorrow night is Friday. We have teen night that starts at 6. If you want your teenage child to come, let us know. It's not about registering. It's just that we order enough pizza if you let us know your kid is coming. Yeah. So teen night happens here 6 to 9 after hours at the library. You know, we play games. There'll be arts and crafts games, music, video games, hide and seek, you know, all kinds of fun things happen after dark here in the library. On Wednesday of next week, we have Jeff Snow. He's a musician coming to do Celtic holiday music. He'll tell some stories. Yeah, he's going to be lovely. That starts at 5 p.m. next Wednesday. Next Thursday at 4, we have George Woodard, and he wrote The Christmas Calf. New book out for him. He will be here from 4 to 6 on Thursday. The next day after that is Friday. We're going to have caroling with the
Barre City Elementary Middle School.
Barre City Elementary Middle School community. That's the parent organization, the teachers, the kids, the administration. Our whole community will be there. We have caroling. Front steps of the library, 5:30, free. Everyone's welcome.
5:30 to 6:30.
And there'll be cocoa.
Hot cocoa, yeah.
Nice.
And the next day is Saturday.
Santa will be coming to the library. So yes, if you have kiddos, bring them down. It'll be 10:30 to noon. Santa will be coming. We'll also have some singing, some caroling. We'll have some stories. Every kid gets 2 free books, and there will be hot cocoa and cookies. So it's going to be a fantastic.
Is there going to be an elf there?
There will be an elf there. Yes, Agatha Post Elf will be there helping the kids to write their letters to Santa. So yes, I hope that you guys will come on down.
So all of those events are free. Everyone is welcome. We do encourage you to come early so you can do a tour of all the trees in the library and pick your raffle spots, what you want to win. Come to as many of those events as you can. We really worked hard to bring in some great performers and to add something to your holiday season. And so we hope you join us.
And a quick little plug for after Christmas. So during the Christmas break, we actually have a lot going on. We have got a lot planned. So the day after Christmas, we open at 2.
Yeah.
And 2 to 6, we have a board game afternoon. So come on down. We'll have a nice little board game. We'll be playing some RPG, role-playing board games as well. So it should be a lot of fun. And then the following day, Friday the 27th after Christmas, we're going to be having an elf movie party. And yes, we will have an elf there as well. That's going to be a lot of fun. So we'll be watching Elf. We'll have some elf crafts. We'll have some activities. And we'll
elf
have
snacks, buddy snacks.
Buddy's brunch buffet.
Buddy's
That's right.
brunch buffet.
There'll be tons of sugar. Yes, it's going to be great. And then that Saturday, Saturday the 28th, Rob Donnelly, who we had on Frankenstein earlier this year, he's going to be coming in and doing a drawing workshop for kids. We don't quite know what time that's going to be, but it'll be somewhere between 10 and 2.
And we do know it's for tweens.
For teens or for tweens, yes.
Tweens, right?
Yeah.
So it's not quite little kids, and it's not your teenage kid. It's that
third to 6th grade level,
Yeah.
thereabouts.
Yeah.
So yeah, it should be a really great time. So yeah, we've got a busy
and
holiday
somewhere
season.
in there we're doing a felting program.
Yes, that's the 17th.
That's the 17th, okay.
I don't know what the time is. I think it's 5.
So look for felting program.
And that's open to all ages, the felting.
All ages. We're also, we're going to do a little pop-up program. We're going to make cinnamon ornaments that are no bake. That's also all ages, little multi-generational going on there. Everybody can come make a cinnamon ornament. We're going to roll out some dough, cookie cutters. They smell delicious. You can take it home, have it forever.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a fun one.
I mean, I'm just sitting here listening to this. It's so unbelievable.
Thank you.
This is just. I said it before. That's why this library is a tremendous asset. And what makes the library an asset is the people who run it and work there.
Oh, thank you very much.
Yeah, we have a great staff.
We do have a great staff.
We do. We have a great staff. We have a great building.
Yes.
Yeah, it's fabulous.
Yeah, it's beautiful. We have great volunteers.
Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, it all just clicks around here, and we're having a great time with it.
Well,
So
like
we invite you to come in and have a great time. Yes, like the Friends
Like
of the
the
Library.
friends. I mean,
Your friends are, so you can join the friends and join the fun.
Warm up from the cold. Come and check out our trees, our beautiful trees.
Now, we just did a whole big lineup, and Alan is talking to you about how great all these things are going on. Please note, we organized this so that you could go to Alan's play and then come to our things.
Yes.
Yep.
We did not double book.
No.
So, the fun starts tomorrow night at a Christmas carol at the church.
Yep.
Friday, Saturday, Sunday. I'm going to Sunday at 5. Alan told me they were either going to be perfect by then or dead tired.
A little bit of both.
I'm going for perfect.
We'll be perfect. Okay, we'll be perfect.
Yeah. And then next week we do programming here.
Yeah.
Yeah. Holiday season. Here
Holiday
we are.
season. Yeah, here we are.
So you have been through an episode of Frankenstein. Do you have more events?
No, that's it. Yeah.
That's it.
I have an apology. I know my phone rang. I
Oh,
apologize.
no, don't worry about it.
It was my agent, so.
Because he saw you on Frankenstein TV.
It wasn't Charles Dickens' ghost.
Yeah, right, whatever.
I do have to retreat to that for what I do have to go back to that.
Yes.
You love a ghost story?
Yeah, I do.
You love a ghost story? You love a ghost story?
Who
I
doesn't
love
love
a ghost story. I know.
Yeah.
I know.
Do you have one?
I have a favorite. I have one of my favorite books is a ghost story. And I'm gonna make sure you go home with the title, if not the book today.
Okay.
And it's, I think her name, I think it's Audrey Niffenbacher. I think she wrote something famous. I think she wrote The Time Traveler's Wife.
Oh, all right.
Oh,
Sure.
no, that's a good book.
Yeah. Well, so then her next book is called Her Fearful Symmetry.
Whoa.
Her Fearful Symmetry. And that is a book where you're like, what just happened? Wait, what? And you have to like reread it. I'm giving myself shivers. I'm not going to say much because I don't want, but you really like, I mean, well, for me, that book was like, whoa, wait, what just happened? And that's a third, you know, it's not too far in. So then that sort of happens and it is, wow, is that good?
I would like to read that.
Yeah, she would like to read that. Her Fearful Symmetry. I think it's here too. I'm hoping it's here. If not, I'll buy it.
If not, we'll get it from the library.
Yeah, so I love a ghost story.
Yeah, there's a really good movie. I think it was just called Ghost, but not the one where they're doing
Not the clay.
not the
Not
clay.
the clay.
And maybe it's called The Ghost, but the story is, oh man, it's amazing. The story is told by the perspective of the ghost.
Oh, that's interesting.
And you know, just this is not a man dies, and you know, and then he just comes up from the sheet.
Yeah.
You know, they have over the dead body. So that's all you see of the ghost is this sheet, like a child's Halloween costume.
Mm-hmm.
And it just shows how he is trying to react with the real world
As a ghost.
but he doesn't understand exactly what happened.
Mm.
It's actually kind of very touching movie.
Yeah.
Mm.
The ghost.
I don't know if it's called The Ghost, but the ghost is in it. You know, I think. So, anyways, on a happy note.
So on a happy note,
play.
come to the play.
Happy Hauntings.
Yeah, we like to just do a little bit of a mental health check-in at Frankenstein Tea. We like to just reiterate that we work from a position of no stigma, no shame here about your mental health. So that's a foundational aspect of our work in this library, that there is no stigma, no shame. So if you need a resource or if you need a contact, please come in. We do have that's part of our job. We are able to give you phone numbers and hopefully connect you with someone, maybe locally. Washington County Mental Health has resources that we're able to tap into. So let us know. And remember, you are always welcome here. And we also encourage you to take care of yourself at home every chance you can. And so perhaps this list is helpful. This is not given to you as a go do this. We're pointing your finger. We are not shushing librarians. We are not telling you to go do this, but this may be a helpful list for you. So, have you showered? Have you brushed your teeth? Have you eaten a good meal? Have you drank enough water? Have you called someone that you love? Have you thought kind thoughts about yourself and others? Have you moved your body and gotten some exercise?
Have you read a good book?
Have you read a good book? Have you seen a good play? Have you connected with someone that you need to connect to? Take your meds, see your doctor, be well.
Lovely. Fantastic.
Very nice.
Yeah. So on that note, happy holidays. Come visit often. See you at the play. Thank you, Alan, so much for coming in here. That was a great conversation.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
It was a great conversation, and we'll see you all soon.
Stay safe
Bye.
Keep reading.
and keep reading.
Enjoy your tea. Mine's gone. Not one last.
Why
sip.
is the tea always
Yeah.
gone?
Yeah.
I still have a bag I can chew on.